So one of the things you can do to be more efficient is get up earlier. You've probably heard the saying, nothing good ever happens after midnight. So if you're typically staying up too late and you're not getting up earlier, you could get up earlier, be motivated in the morning, and get more stuff done. Don't tell anyone, but I get up at 5:45 every morning. And I get a lot done from 5:45 to 7 because my phone doesn't ring, my emails aren't going off. I can really get in and get what's important done. So take a look, and what does your bedtime routine look like? Do you have a bedtime routine? Start establishing that bedtime routine so you can go to sleep a little bit more consistently and set an alarm clock. I talk to a lot of agents who don't set an alarm clock at all. I think that if you want to be more efficient, you start the day off with a time to get up and you try to hit that first goal of the day. And that first goal of the day, a lot of times, is going to be what time you want to wake up. So even if you have it set for 7, let's look at 6:45. Let's look for 15 minutes earlier to just get a little bit more done in the day. And then I talk to so many agents, and lots of them tell me I don't have time to do everything. And then I meet them at the office. And if this is you, I apologize. But I meet them at the office and they try to open up their laptop, and it's an old laptop. It takes, 7 to 12 minutes to boot up. And then they're sitting there typing like this. And I'm like, sometimes you just have to reinvest in yourself and your tech. So go learn how to type. If you're not typing 60 words a minute, you're not as efficient as you can be. And let's just say I save you a minute here and a minute there, and all of a sudden I've saved you 15 minutes a day. And all of a sudden that's over an hour a week, and 2 hours a week. All these little things add up. Learn how to type. If you don't know how to type, please learn how to type and make sure that you get a fast laptop. Notice I didn't say expensive. We don't need a ton of stuff as real estate agents. Now, if you have other things that you like to do with graphic design, etc., you can go buy a Chromebook. It boots up in 8 seconds. It's inexpensive. You can list on the MLS. You can search for homes. You can do showing time, all the things a realtor needs to do. And Chromebooks are really looked down upon. But if you have a fancy, expensive computer that's super slow and old, you're killing your time management. You're not efficient. And then once you open it, if it doesn't boot quick and you can't type quickly, you're costing yourself time. If you're looking for my recommendation for a laptop, I always buy a Dell XPS. I'll put it in the chat here. A Dell XPS, there's different sizes, 6-second boot time. When I open it up, boom, I'm on, I'm working, and I want to make sure that I'm as effective and efficient as I can be. Next, once you start saying, okay, I'm really going to take time into consideration, and you probably heard the phrase, how you spend your time, and you are spending it. What are you spending your time on? We're going to do a guess for the top one here. Don't look it up, just guess. Put it in the comments. What do you think the average American, how much time per week, how many hours per week does the average American spend watching TV? Now, I know this week might be high because we had the Super Bowl, but for you NFL fans, you probably watch your favorite team every Sunday. And for you college fans, you probably watch the Buckeyes or whoever it is. And some of you watch the news an hour in the morning, an hour at night. Some of you watch your favorite shows. What do you think the average American spends on average per week watching TV? How many hours? Bill says 10. Bill, it's much higher. Average American. Someone says all of them. Yeah, according to all the industry, the average American spends 28 hours a week watching TV. The average American has more than a part-time job watching TV. And I coach a lot of agents. When I meet with them, lots of times I say, I need more time. I don't have any time. And I look at their social media feed and it's like, oh yeah, did you see what happened on Dexter or whatever the show is? And I'm like, is that crucial? And if you're hitting your income goals, who cares? I don't care if you spend 40 hours a week watching TV if you're hitting your goals, because that's what I care about. I don't notice I didn't say make a lot of money. It's whatever your goals are. If you're hitting those goals, by all means, some of you have goals to have more work-life balance, to watch TV, and that's okay. But I'm talking to the agents that aren't hitting their income goals, that's saying, hey, this is a challenging market. Interest rates are high. There's no inventory. I'm not exceeding my income goals. What can I do? Think about cutting out a little bit of TV, Average time on social media, average person spends 14 hours a week in America on social media, 2 hours a day. Now, if you're a realtor, this can be different because, yeah, you might spend that time on there, but you could be prospecting. I'm talking about actual wasted time. Take a look at how much time you're on social media. They all have an app, and in that app, it's going to show you how much time you spent on it last week. I'll post in the comments when we're done here about how to get to that, but it'd be interesting for you to go in and see. Take a little self quiz with yourself right now and say, how many hours do you think you spent last week on social media? And then go in and check it and see if it's about right and say, is that the best use of my time? And if you're posting real estate stuff and prospecting, great. But if you're not hitting your income goals, take a look at some of these things. The average commuting time is about an hour round trip. There's not a lot of reason to always go to the office. If you're a real estate agent and you're just driving to an office, that's probably additional at least 20 minutes there and 20 minutes back that you could probably work from home and get stuff done. That's 40 minutes a day. It adds up quick. Lots of people just browse the internet, video games, and lack of planning. So there's lots of things you can waste your time on. So take those things into account. So another thing you can do is be like the hedgehog. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this before, but the hedgehog is significantly smaller and not as smart as the fox. The fox is cunning and bigger. And anytime those two get into it, the hedgehog wins every single time. And the hedgehog knows how to do one thing really, really well: curl up in a tight little ball until the fox gives up. And the fox will try and leave and come back and do all kinds of things. And I see agents doing that too. I see them also being an Uber driver or a Lyft driver, doing some other things. And I'm like, how do you scale that business? How do you create repeat business? If you really want to make more money, get really good at real estate and kind of let everything else go to the side. And oh, let me see if I can get out of this. Normally this is a link. It's not working with me. And then take a look at what's important versus what is urgent. And I think there's a great chart out there called the Eisenhower Matrix. Well, this link used to work. Maybe it doesn't now. It says my Google Chrome is not responding. Maybe I need to get my own laptop up to date. Not sure if it's this site. It used to, as we went down through here. Here we go. There's a difference between urgent and important. So you look at the quadrants. What's urgent and important is in this top left. Crisis, emergencies, problems, project with deadlines. And then some of the things are important but not urgent, your relationship building, things like that. You can schedule those things. And some things are not important. We're going to talk today about how to delegate some busy work, some paperwork, some things like that, and then delete some of those pointless things we've been talking about. Just, disruptive socialization, internet browsing, when you're not really going out there and building your business. So I always say, is it important? Is it not? And then start making fewer decisions. You know what? You can pick out your clothes all week on Sunday. If you sit there and you say, hey, Mike, a big problem I have is it takes me 20 minutes a day to figure out what I'm going to wear that day. Figure out what it is so you can be more efficient. So let's get right into some of the things that I use every day that maybe you can implement in your business. One, if you're not using Gmail, you should switch. If you're with a brokerage firm that provides an email address and you ever leave, well, you lose it, first of all. But also, it can't do some of the things I'm going to show you right now in Gmail. So you could just use gmail.com. I use broker Mike Hall at Gmail. But if you wanted to get your own domain name, you could do that, like brokermikehall.com. And then I could get Mike at brokermikehall.com. And I know some people think, well, that's a little narcissistic. And I take a look at what works. When I take a look at some of our top agents in our industry, like Sam Cooper, you know what his email address is? Sam@samcooper.com. I take a look at Jim Ross. It's Jim@jimross.com. So at the end of the day, go out there, make sure you're using Gmail instead of your brokers. And then you got to get to inbox zero. When I sit down with an agent and they are managing things by what's read and unread, I think that's just a nightmare. And here's how I get to inbox zero every day. Let me see if I can go out of here. So this is our real live broker at Red One Realty email address. You know, we have 800 agents. We have to be efficient. We have to have a system in place. And you can see with 800 agents, it is empty. We have multiple people that watch this, but when something is done, we move it outside of our inbox. And it's super simple. Let's just email broker at red1realty.com and go ahead and send that. And now when it comes in, we take a look and we say, hey, what needs to have happen with this? We answer, respond, we do whatever it is. And then we're going to take it and we're going to move it to a folder called 2024. And that's how easy it is. So get that stuff out of your inbox. Yes, 2024 is searchable and we have 23 and other years, but make sure you get that out of your inbox. Don't do it on a read, unread, anything along those lines. That way you can really take a look and say, hey, what do I need to do? It's in my inbox. I can go in and get those things done. So let me just show you one more thing. So we got, hello to. Help if I could spell. So, when I get up in the mornings, I don't want to send people emails from 5:45 to 7 a.m. So I go in and I schedule send. So I send a lot of emails. So if you notice that my call guy consistently sends things at 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m., it's because I schedule send it. I don't want people to know I'm working. I got to get up. I got to get my important stuff done, right? My urgent, important stuff before I go into those other quadrants. So I schedule send it whenever I really start feel like taking calls, which is typically 7 a.m. But I schedule send that. So you can easily schedule send it. And it says, hey, when do you want to do it? So you can schedule and pick a date and time and schedule that whenever you want. So I'm just going to go ahead and send this to me now to show you one additional thing. So when this comes in, also, maybe I don't need to take care of it today, but I want inbox zero. We strive for inbox zero. If you need to get a hold of a broker at Red One Realty, email broker at Red One Realty. We all watch it. Michelle watches it. Ken watches it. I watch it. It's triple redundant. But if we say, hey, look, this needs to be done, but it doesn't need to be done now, we still want this inbox zero. We go in and we snooze it. And we say, hey, look, this is something that needs to be done on Friday at 2 o'clock. So we go in and we say, hey, let's move this to Friday. I'll just do 8 a.m. And then it moves it out of there. So I can go into my snoozed and take a look and say, hey, what's over there? Chris Walling has a great question. How long do we keep emails before deleting forever? That is 3 years. So we just had an agent get in trouble because he didn't keep his text for 3 years. And a complaint was over a year old by the time they got to it, which if you've never had a complaint at the division, they're typically over a year. So on an iPhone, this agent was alleging the default says erase text after 1 year. So he got a letter in his file that says, hey, if this happens again, there's a chance you may not be able to keep your license. So they're pretty serious about minimum 3 years. 2013, good Lord. You're safe. I think you're past a lot of the items out there. So take a look at getting to inbox zero. We talked about snoozing and we talked about schedule sending. And then I really want to make sure everyone knows how to do canned responses. So there's things that you guys type over and over and over again. And there's no reason to type it over and over and over again. There's templates that you can use in there. So think about some things that you will type over and over again, like you get an online lead. Yeah, the system's going to automatically do it, but you might want to send an email on your own. You go into contract, you receive an offer. Every time you receive an offer, be able to communicate something very easily. So you want to make sure that you have all these canned responses. So every time you go in to type an email, say, am I going to do this again? Do I do this often? Do I recall sending this email several times? Like, congratulations on your closing, happy house, whatever it is. So when I go in there, I'm going to click compose. Let me move this chat out of my way. And I'm going to go send an email to broker my call. And there's these three little dots down here. So I'm gonna click on these three little dots and I'm gonna go to my templates. And I send this email out all the time. Someone says, hey, I'm thinking about joining Red One Realty. What can I do to get ready? And it says, here you go. If you want to go ahead and order business card signs, get everything ready, feel free. So anything that I do, I want to type it once. I want to make it really nice. I want to get everything done. I want it to be perfect. I want it to look great. That way I'm not, you know, typing lazy emails because I'm busy here and there. So I want to show you guys how to do this because everyone needs templates in their Gmail because you guys do the same thing a lot of the times. When you have a closing, you do something. We get an online lead, you do something. We get an offer, you do something. Even if it's something simple, like, your reputation matters in the industry. If you could quickly go in there and type out a nice email that says, thank you very much for your offer. Our sellers are taking a look at everything. Just wanted to email you, confirm it's there. Look forward to working with you. Smooth transaction, blah, 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 blah. Make a nice email instead of just received. It's like, yeah, they really put work into it. So here's how you do that. You want to go in, you want to compose, and you want to delete your signature. If you don't delete your signature, you're going to have two. And I see it sometimes, and I'm like, that's okay, but delete your signature. Type in your subject. And you can go into detail about it and things like that. So type out a nice email, spend some time on it once and not a little bit of time all the time. And then you go down to these three little dots and you click on templates. And then if you don't have any, you'll see it. But if you have several, you need to scroll down, save draft as template, and come over here, save as new template, and name it offer received. So now it's saved. I come over here, I click compose. Boom. I can click reply, like if they emailed it to me and say offer received. And when I do that, it'll put that in there plus my signature. Now, obviously, I would have hit that a couple times and said thanks and things along those lines. So take a look. Whatever emails you're typing more than once, start making templates. And then we use the different folders in there as well. So once you get into Gmail, you can see that we have promotions and we have social. So lots of social emails probably come through. I don't want notification every time in my inbox because that's where I go to get everything done. I don't want an email every time someone likes one of my Facebook things or comments on Facebook. And when they're sending out bulk promotions, I don't want that to hit my inbox every time. Gmail does a pretty good job saying, hey, this wasn't just sent to you or a few people, it was sent to hundreds or thousands of people. Put it there. So when you guys go in here, you can go into settings, that little gearbox in Gmail. You can see all settings, and then you can go in and change some of these things. So I'm just going to go through a couple of these, and this is being recorded and put in our Facebook group tomorrow. But here's some of the things I have set up. I have undo send set up, and it says, hey, give me 5 seconds by the time I hit 0 before it actually sends, or I can cancel it. I love having that. I want to go in and show a couple other things. I definitely want the promotions, and I always forget where it is, so I gotta find it. It might be under inbox. There we go. So once you go gearbox settings, see all settings. If you go to your inbox, you can have the promotions and the social there and be able to get that done. Oh, and if you guys have not added us, you can go in and add and create a filter to make sure you're getting our email addresses. When we box in, we're sending out 800 plus emails. So to make sure you get our emails, when you go into filters and blocked email addresses, create a new filter and say, when you get an email, especially from our admin team, they're more important than all of us. Say when admin at Red One Realty comes in, I want to create a filter and make sure that I want to, oh, there should be never send it to spam. You can never send it to spam. You can mark it as important. So that way you make sure that you're getting our emails. And you can do that with anyone that you say, hey, look, I'm not getting the emails from whatever it is, your child school, etc. Easy way to make sure that if they're sending out hundreds or thousands of emails, you still get that. But gearbox, see all settings, and then you're able to go in and do some of that. And I think there's one in the advanced. So yeah, this is the last one I want to show you. So once you're in there, click on advanced, and here's those templates. So if you don't have templates, when you click those three little dots, find templates and enable that. And you do have to scroll down and hit save when you make changes here. Before we get out of Gmail, just wanted to open it up for questions, comments, complaints. What tips do you guys have based on what I've talked about so far? Not wasting time, being more efficient, managing your email before we get into some other tips. All right, here we go. We're going to get into some additional items called Google extensions. If you're familiar with Google extensions and you use some, great, put them in the chat, let us know. But if you take a look at my screen up here at the top, you can see there's these little things next to the URL address bar. And this is one I use called Screencastify. I have a CE coming up at our Red One Realty office on how to use video, and we're going to really dive into Screencastify. But if I wanted to go in and make a video or record my screen, I use Screencastify for the easy stuff. I just go in and say record my desktop or record me, and then I can go in and record myself very easily. It automatically adds to Google Drive. I can quickly share a link. So if you think about doing more video, start playing around with Screencastify. If you really want to do more video, go to the Red One Agent calendar and take a look when that CE class is, and we'll get into calendar management in the next slide also, and I'll see when that is. Also, I use a screenshot capture, so it's a screen capture by Fireshot. So lots of times, if I just want to do something quick, I say, "Hey, look, I just want this image right here." I can just copy it. Boom! It's going to automatically go in and oh, well, normally it does. It doesn't always work well when I'm on video, but I can go in, capture a little portion of it, and then able to easily copy, paste, save that, etc. I do that a lot for the contract. Like all the time, I get agents calling and saying, you can submit the request to remedy in the remedy period. And in the Columbus Realtors contract, you can't. You have to submit the request to remedy in the inspection period. So I go in, I screenshot that little part of it. And then let's see if I can, some of them don't work in incognito mode. So I want to go in and, oh yeah, they're pulling up over here. So another one I use is called Honey. It's the little gray H right here. So right now on this screen, you can see obviously there's no way to save money, and we all want to save money, right? But I go to Best Buy a lot. I love techie stuff. And when I go to Best Buy, it's automatically going to look for every single coupon available for me, which is fantastic because I am busy. I'm not going to go out there and spend an hour of my time trying to find a coupon that's going to save me 5% because I place a value on my time and say, hey, this is how much I think I'm worth per hour. And I think you should do that too. I say, this is what I'm worth per hour. And if I'm working and doing something significantly less, it's not worth it. But this is automatic. It just says, hey, here's some discounts that work. Literally, all I do is I go put my stuff in the cart and Honey automatically runs. And it's going to automatically probably save me 10% on whatever that is, where that is. So it'll automatically go in and check those coupons and apply them for me. And you can see, this one worked 3 hours ago. So it's user oriented. So if you just go in there and say, hey, this worked, Honey does it. And it works on almost every site except Amazon. Amazon doesn't allow Honey to work, but every other major site out there where there's a cart, Honey works. So if nothing else, hopefully I save you a little bit of time and a little bit of money by downloading that Honey extension. So to download extensions, you only want to download those from the Chrome Web Store. These only work in Google Chrome. So if you're using something else, you might have to take a look and see if they have extensions. So most of the time I just go in and say, Honey extension. I just spelled that really bad. Hopefully it's good enough to find it for me. There we go. Joinhoney.com and I say browser extension. And you can certainly find it that way. It's going to take you to it, but where you want to look for them is the Chrome Web Store. So it's just chromewebstore.google.com. Once you go there, search honey and automatic coupons. And you can see I probably already have it because it says installed. But if I didn't have it installed, there'd be a button down here like this other honey that once I clicked on it, I could download it. And it's easy to remove, it's easy to activate. So easy way to save some time, save some money as you're going out there in your busy day. And lastly, I see lots of people driving when they don't have to. And if it's something you can easily do via Zoom, I think, COVID definitely changed the amount of people that are comfortable via Zoom. But consider doing a quick Zoom instead of driving out there a lot of times. I think it can help. Any other tips or tricks that you guys have in working with Google extensions? Are you guys familiar with extensions? Used them before? Are there any that you love? I mean, there's just a ton of them out there. So when you go out there and discover, you can take a look and say, hey, do I want shopping? Do I want entertainment? Do I want productivity? There's lots of different ones out there. Well, at a bare minimum, take a look and start adding honey and take a look at any of these others to make sure that you're being more productive. Oh, there's an eyedropper to find a color. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, sometimes you want to match the colors and things along those lines and get the CMYK or the RGB. That's a great one. All right, perfect. Here we go. I know your guys' time is valuable, so we're going to get right through this. Next, calendar management. If you're still writing stuff down on a paper calendar, that is extremely inefficient. And I tell people for a year, try to do both. After a year, then you can slowly get rid of the paper calendar. But for my calendar, it is online. I can access it from my tablet, my phone, my laptop. I do use the Google Calendar. Google Calendar syncs across all devices, whether it is iPhone or Android based, which is nice. And you can give people permission to go in and do different things, including view the calendar and make edits to the calendar. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that real quick and give you a couple examples on how we use it both in business and in our personal life. So real simple on personal life, like some things I need to be there for and some things I don't. So if Heather is making a braces appointment for my daughter and it's just a simple little tune up, do I really need to be there for that? My daughter tells me no, so I don't. But for other things like, hey, whenever they're first putting the braces on, I want to be there for that. She wants me to be there for that. So Heather's able to go in, look at my calendar, see when I'm available, automatically book that based on that. Now, my daughter and my son also have access to my calendar, and it helps do a number of things. One, it shows them if something hits dad's calendar, it gets done. That's both in personal life and in work, and it's really helped them say, no, dad put it on there. But we schedule game time, we schedule everything. If it doesn't hit my calendar, I can tell you this, it doesn't happen. And before I added Heather and everything, she said, "What are you doing tomorrow? What are you doing tomorrow?" And I'm like, "I don't even know. I put it on my calendar and I forget it. It doesn't rent space in my head. I look, I make sure everything's there. I put reminders. We're going to talk about that and easily do that. So for those of you that run a team, you can do the same way for your team. You say, "Hey, look, here's the calendar. Here's who gets phone calls. Here's when leads come in. Share your calendar with me. You don't have to share the details, but I can go out there. I can automatically book appointments for you. We don't want to lose leads by not scheduling appointments. You can be a lot more efficient. You don't have to take a look and play that game and say, when are you available? When are you not available? And we'll talk briefly about Calendly. I know there's a couple options out there as well. So let's take a look at that calendar. Let's see how to add people to the calendar. So obviously, let me get this out of my way. Here's our Red One Realty calendar. We're doing Tech Tuesday today. We do Red One Cares event a little bit later. Lots of different things coming up. But as everything in Google Chrome, you're going to click that gearbox and you're going to go to settings. And then once you go to settings, over here on the left-hand side, you're going to scroll down to the calendar. And then you're going to go down and it says share with specific people or groups. So if I wanted to add this, I don't think admin has access to this, but let's just say we want admin to have access to our calendar. They can go in and then we have a couple different options. We can just let them see when we're free or busy. For those of you that are on a team or a team leader, I think that's a great choice. It says, hey, when are you available? When are you not? Let's use a calendar. Let's make sure that we're extremely efficient. Or they can see the event details, but they can't make changes to it. And I I think things should just be an open book. I really do. I know lots of people are a little bit more personal than that. But if I was running a team, I'm like, look, you can see what I'm doing and let's work together and figure out. And if it constantly says golfing as your team leader, I'm gonna say, hey, maybe you got to talk a little bit more business on the golf course or golf less. You can also let them make changes to events and manage sharing. So most of the time, we give everyone full access and say, hey, look, the family can do it, the leadership team can do it, make changes, manage sharing. Sometimes I want to revoke access from my wife because she'll know I'll be in a meeting and on my calendar, no lie, it pops up, stop and get milk on your way home. And I'm like, really? Taking your access away. But normally, very productive to be able to not have to play that game and spend more time. And maybe it's just a couple minutes. She calls me, I don't pick up. I call her back, she's on the line, she doesn't pick up, and all of a sudden we played the phone tank game a couple times, and then we start talking, and I'm 5 minutes into her saying, "Can you make this dentist appointment or not?" When she can just book it, done. It's more efficient for her. It's more efficient for me. And if I saved you 5 minutes 1,000 times this year, that's a lot of time. So easily go in and do that. And then you got to use the calendar and you got to time block. So whenever I go in to create an event, we are having a happy hour on Thursday. Hope to see you all there. Where is it? Derived Brewing. Never been there. But if I go in to make an event, there's a couple things that I want to make sure that you guys do. So obviously you're going to add the title. Let's call it showing. So if you have a showing, I firmly believe you need to go in, add that to your calendar, and make sure you're adding your consumer on there as well. So we say, hey, there's a calendar event. It is going to be Thursday. It's going to be from 11 to 12. And I'm going to go in and add the guests. So I'm going to add them. So if they use, any type of online calendar, this pretty much will save a spot in their calendar. Because I think some people aren't good at managing their calendars and they'll overbook themselves. And then all of a sudden they ghost you, they no show, and they say, oh, well, something came up. Did something really come up or did they not plan well? Just make sure that they plan well, you put it in there and get that done. So I also want to add the location. If you use the Google Calendar app on your phone and you have your location on, it'll tell you, hey, time to leave or there's additional traffic. So add the location in there and can go in and I talked about adding the guest. So easy to do. And there's some things that you guys need to add, like prospecting. Go in, add prospecting, whatever time it is, and don't overwrite the prospect. When it's in there, say, nope, that's an appointment. No, I have to do that. Go in and make your prospecting time. Time block whatever's important for you. Time block some stuff for your family. If you want to play board games and turn off electronics every Wednesday at 7 p.m. That's a great way to introduce your family to time blocking, let them know how important it is, and be able to make sure that you start time blocking as well. But if you don't time block, if you don't prospect, if you don't systematically manage your time, it's going to be hard for you to level up your business. And I lost my slide. They really did. I'm not sure what happened to my slide, but we're gonna go find it. I always have 8 million tabs open. I should put that on my time management tip to not have 8 million tabs open. But how many of you use something like Google Calendar? Is there anyone here that still uses the old paper version? I'm not sure where that went. Any other tips that you guys have for calendars? We think we talked about all this, sharing it, appointments with addresses. Color code the multiple calendars. I think that's important too. Adding the people that you're meeting with to minimize the ghosting and the missed appointments. And then lastly, Calendly. If oh, someone set the caption to Arabic. Is that just for them or everyone? I don't know. Um, don't play the game back and forth with your client. They say, "Ooh, look at this new home at 1234 Main Street. I want to go see it." And then I know you want to control your calendar, and you say, "Well, what about Tuesday at 10 a.m.?" And they say, "Oh, Tuesday at 10 a.m. doesn't work." So then they respond back to you and they say, "What about Wednesday at 2?" And you're like, "Oh, Wednesday at 2 doesn't work for me. What about Wednesday at 6?" And all of a sudden, it's just more minutes and it's not as good consumer experience. Where if you could say, "Hey, here's my Calendly link, go in there and book a time." And if you have your personal stuff coded, you have your family's time coded, and you say, "Hey, look, I want to make sure that we get out there," they can pick a time that works for them right in Calendly. And if they do pick a time, you're like, "Yeah, you know what? It really just doesn't work for me." You can always address that, but it minimizes that back and forth game, saving you even more time. Google Calendar. What about people with iPhones? There's a default iCalendar, right? Is there a default iPhone calendar? And do you use that or do you download the Google Calendar? Where are my iPhone users? Jordan uses both. So you have both or use both? Because I don't know if they sync to each other. I've never been an iPhone user. Okay, they sync. Perfect. Good to know. Google Calendar on your iPhone. Wonderful. Perfect. All right. So whenever you guys are working on stuff, if it's Word, Excel, stuff like that, use Google Drive. It's free. It's everywhere. And Barry says, I think Google syncs, but not iPhone to Google. Oh yeah, I don't know if you put it on your iPhone if it goes to the Google Calendar. I know if I send someone an invite from Google Calendar and they use whatever the default is on their iPhone, it puts a temporary spot and reserves it there. So for that reason, I always use Google Calendar. But I see lots of people not doing things because they tell me, well, I've always done it another way. I think that's a horrible, horrible reason for you to do anything. When you say, well, I've always done it this way. Well, for years, I only use Microsoft Word. And there was a little bit of a learning curve to get out of Word and get into the Google Drive and Docs and things like that. But you have to take a look at things and say, is it the best way to do it? And I always relate it to, that lumberjack and sharpening his axe. And I think all of you know the story, but this lumberjack came in, he's super motivated, and he's chopping down trees faster than everyone. Well, like a week later, he's working harder than everyone, but he's chopping down trees the slowest. He doesn't take time to sharpen the axe. And sometimes agents need to do things too. If there's a tool out there that you're not really good at, get good at it. And maybe that's Google Calendar, and maybe that's Gmail, maybe that's Google Drive, or maybe for you it's Dot Loop or Showing Time or KV Core. Sharpen it, get out there, and when I save stuff in the cloud and Google Drive, I can pull it up on my phone. I can pull it up everywhere. If you're still using some old school stuff and saving it to your computer's hard drive. It's time to start putting stuff in the cloud. We have lots of people that use Google Voice for their business. So if you want to separate it or you have another job and things along those lines, you don't need to carry two phones. Just download the Google Voice app. You can change the ringtone from it. You can change the voicemail from it. Some people aren't allowed to have their voicemail say that they're a real estate agent. So I just want to give you guys some options to keep you efficient, keep you with one phone. People are saying you can sync your Google Calendar to your iPhone calendar. If I think that's it, but I guess the question for you iPhone users, if you put something on iPhone, does it sync over to your Google Calendar? If anyone knows that for certain or wants to try it and put it in the chat, okay. Everyone's saying it does. Thank you. Next is KV Core. We've had KV Core for 5 years. We're not going away from KV Core. You should learn KV Core. You can mass email, you can mass text, you can manage people. The ability of it to manage a large sum of people is going to save you a lot of time. If you're going out there and sending individual texts all the time, you can send out one mass text that says, hey, here's what rates are doing right now. The Fed said it might be a while till they drop, etc. Easily go out there and communicate with your sphere, staying top of mind. And the best thing in the world for you to do is when you time block that hour of prospecting in, go in, open up KV Core. It's going to tell you who you should reach out to, what you should be doing, and go out there and do it. I talked about this, but you shouldn't do things the same way all the time. I'm not sure how this video plays on Zoom. We're going to try to play it very quickly and see. This poor kid's stuck, obviously. We're gonna move to about right here where the dad starts trying to put his foot on there and all kinds of other things. And he's like, hey, how do I get you out of here? And obviously there's 2 minutes times elapsed. And there's just lots of ways to do things. I love that video just because there's more than one way to do things. And I want you guys thinking about, is this the best way? And if it's not the best way, if it's taking you time and you're not as quick and efficient, really take a look, sharpen that saw, try to figure out a better way. And that applies for everything, sending the same email that you type out over and over again. Got to go out there, got to be more efficient and look for other ways to do it. Creating habits is huge. Once you create that habit of time blocking every day, it gets a little easier. Making sure that you have your business plan done, and time block things. And I time block things in 15 minutes a lot of times. It says, okay, I want to post to social media every day. I do. It doesn't always happen because it's not important and urgent for me, but I want to. And if it was important and urgent, I would schedule a 15-minute block and says, hey, I want to go out there and post on social media every single day. And if you're building your business and you're posting about real estate on there, take a look at it and say, what can I do? Schedule things to get it done. All right. Now, if you didn't know how nerdy and geeky I was already, you're really going to learn. I use a program called If This Then That. It's called ifttt.com. I only post to Facebook. My kids tell me I'm old. I've accepted that. I don't typically log in to Twitter or Instagram. Every once in a while, maybe LinkedIn. But I think those platforms are important because for me, a lot of agents are using Instagram and not Facebook. And for you, a lot of your buyers are probably using Instagram and not Facebook. But you can go to ifttt.com. It stands for if this, then that, and says if I post to Facebook, automatically tweet out my post. So I get people all the time. They're like, yeah, I follow you on Twitter. You post all the time. Can't remember last time I logged into Twitter. Also, don't think it's worth my time because I don't think a lot of people are really going out there looking for an agent or a broker on Twitter. But again, it's that TOMA, right? TOMA, top of mind awareness. If they see you on Instagram, they see you on LinkedIn, they see you on Twitter, it's just, yeah, do you know a good agent? Oh, yeah, this guy's everywhere. He always posts. They can find you easily. You'd be surprised how many referrals you can get because you're convenient to refer. If you're sending newsletters and you're easy to find, you can get that a little bit easier. Now, like, oh yeah, he just sent me an email or he just posted it's on Twitter. Here you go. Let me show you the agent's contact info. But again, it's one post to one social media platform and it will go out there and put it on lots of other platforms. So Friday night, instead of going out, go to ifttt.com, take a look at some of those recipes that says, if this happens, then that can happen. And there's all kinds of them. Like I have a I love technology. There's so many smart things in my home, but like when I leave, it can automatically lock my doors, turn off all my lights, set my alarm, and all I have to literally have to do is leave my geofence. Now, I have family and they don't like it when I do that, so I have to turn it off because Heather doesn't like the alarm going off. But lots of those different IFTTT things says if this happens, then that. So take a look at those, but definitely consider these three. If you post to whatever social media platform you normally post to, then take it somewhere else. Just some random tips here. I use a program called Type It In. I'm also very frugal, and most things I've talked about here don't cost money. This does cost money. So lots of times, I'm going to type the same thing over and over again. Like I every time someone is reactivating their license, I have a reactivation message, and if you see at the bottom, it will go through and type the message. So all I do is click a button, and it will go through and type whatever I record to it. Like lots of times people say, where are we meeting? I have a whole one that talked about that. You can have multiple different versions. But someone says, well, you know what's the office mailing address? I'm not going to type out 921 Eastwind Drive thousands of times in my life. It's just not going to happen. But you can type out whole email messages. I want to say it's like $39 a year. It's called Type It In, and it kind of runs in the background here. And I always just keep it right down here so it really doesn't invade space. Hopefully you guys can see down there. But just lots of different things that says what do we consistently type over and over again. So, I also save my data in Chrome. So it will autofill a lot of those fields for me. But if for some reason there is no autofill, I can easily do phone, email, mailing, all that fun stuff. Um, this is for, oh, I just deleted it. I think I turned it on. I didn't mean to, but it will automatically use my voice and things like that. So if it has voice typing, you can use that little Windows H. I don't know if these things are available on a Mac. So if you have something similar, take a look, or just, say, voice typing for a Mac or type it in for a Mac. But they definitely work. And I use voice to text a lot. So it's kind of annoying if you're riding in the car with me because I voice text all the time. Or now if I'm just sitting in the home, I voice text. I talk faster than I text. So again, if I can just save you 1 minute here, 1 minute there, I think it can add up to hundreds of minutes, hundreds of hours per year. And you can spend more time with your family or relaxing or building your business. I also change everything. So on my keyboard, I do have an Android. I don't like how Apple doesn't let me change everything. So I change my texting to Pulse SMS. Pulse SMS allows me to program in autoresponders. So if I'm out and someone says, hey, what's our tax ID? it'll say, this is an autoresponder. If you're asking for the Red One Realty tax ID, it's 81-276-8085, and it's automatic. It also programs thing in, like I just type in R1A and it automatically goes out and says, visit red1agent.com, then click on resources, then click on, and I just type on the resource. Or I have one that says OFC for office. So it allows me to create my own shortcuts. So I'm not typing things out via text as well. Bill says when voice texting, read it before sending. Yeah, I've sent out some bad ones, Bill. It happens. I have to go back and apologize. And I'm like, oops, hey, that was voice to text. Sorry. But ideally, I try to look at it before sending. Sometimes I hit send too quickly. And use Chat GPT. If you guys are not using Chat GPT, you need time block it right now to go in and start using Chat GPT. For you to go out there and create blogs, to create messages, things along those lines. Let me see if I can log into Chat GPT in this incognito window. If I wanted to write a blog post about 10 reasons why someone should move to Columbus, Ohio in a humorous tone from a realtor, it will go out there and create the blog post for me. And then I just copy it. And if you're not blogging, you should be. I think lots of people didn't blog because there's a lot of work before. This is really easy. You can see it's just going to go out there and create that for you. Have a little bit of humor. You can say in a serious tone and whatever tone you want. But I think 5 years from now, some of this AI, we'll take a look and see how much it changed our life. And some people have jumped on this right away, and some people haven't. But you guys all have a blog in KV Core or whatever your website is. And if people are going out there and someone's thinking about moving to Columbus, Ohio, this is a great thing. Of course, it is a comedy routine. It's been super warm in February, and next week it's gonna be super cold, but you can see how easy it is to get content, and you just come down here and you click copy and you go paste it into your blog. Now, for those of you who, aren't doing video yet, you can say, write a script for a 5-minute video for a realtor to post to YouTube about spring home tips. And it will say, do this, do that, seen this, all kinds of stuff, and really go through and do everything. It tells you cut the blooming flowers. So if you're not using Chat GPT, it is time to start, whether you're getting involved in video or that, or try the next listing you get. You're going to spend some time on that, writing that listing description. Let's stop this. Let's just write a listing description. Let me use a real address. It will go out and write a listing description for you. Now, full disclosure, your license, you got to make sure it doesn't say things that would possibly not be legal, but it's going to go through and pull lots of great data for you. So I'm not saying copy this, but you can go out there and use a lot of it and save yourself some time. So if you're not using Chat GPT, it's time to get it done. Bill says YouTube has a lot of, oh, I don't know why it changed red. I must have did something. YouTube has a lot of prompt videos for Chat GPT. It does. There's so many of them out there. Melissa, no, Chat GPT is free and it's wonderful. You go out there, create an account, start using it. Now there's lots of kids using it to, you know, do things they shouldn't do, like write a 3-page paper on the history of America. It will go out there and write a 3-page paper. So the colleges and high schools are all trying to figure out how to stop something like this. But for us in real estate, perfectly legal. I'm not going to go through all that. Next, if you're too busy, don't miss clients. You can utilize Agent Gopher for, 40 to 70 bucks, depending on where it is. They'll go out there and show homes for you. If you're trying to take your business to the next level, it's time for you to be listing oriented, prospect for listings. And if you don't have to go out there on every showing, take a look at that. And if you're still doing your own paperwork and you're saying, hey, look, I'm at 15 transactions. How do I get to 30? That's the number one thing I'm going to tell you. Stop doing your own paperwork. You're doing a $10 an hour job. Establish what hour per hour rate you want that to be. What is that? 50, 75, 100, 200. And if you say, hey, look, I'm worth X amount per hour, start getting rid of everything that's a fourth of that first. Let's say you say you're worth $100 an hour because I'm really bad at math. And someone will come cut your grass for 25 bucks an hour. Outsource your grass, outsource your home cleaning, outsource your laundry. If you say, look, I'm dedicated and I want to take my business to the next level, and then you sit there and you say your time's worth $100 and you're doing $25 an hour tasks, you're worth $25 an hour that hour. So start outsourcing some of the stuff that aren't producing the results you want. Jordan also says you can customize your business information and target client on Chat GPT. Absolutely. Yeah, if you guys haven't spent a lot of time in Chat GPT, I won't say it's as life-changing as the internet, but it's up there. It'll be life-changing. I think, you can easily see just how you can save some time and get some things quickly. And it's in its infancy stages. So it will continue to get smarter. And Congress is meeting to make sure it doesn't turn out like the Terminator when, it takes over all mankind. What in the world did I do to my slides now? Struggling with the slides today. I don't know what I keep doing. I always struggle on Zoom anyway. I have a chat box, then I have all the photos, constantly moving stuff around. I could probably save myself like 10 seconds by getting a system for that. All right, where were we? We went through IFTTT, we're on miscellaneous. Yeah, we'll be wrapping up here in the next couple slides, but what I'm going to encourage you today is to remove your obstacles. We all have stuff that will take our attention away from hitting our goals, being efficient, prospecting, and everyone has them. I talk to a lot of the top producers, and I talk to a lot of the top producers more often than I talk to a lot of people that don't produce at all. And they have the same problems, right? Everyone has family problems. Everyone eventually has some type of health problems. They go through some serious stuff. But I think the big difference is they stay focused. When they set the prospecting time, they prospect every time. And they don't say, well, I got this other thing, or I don't feel like doing it today. So you got to make sure that you do it and stay focused. A lot of times they're going to make sure that they remove fear. And for those of you that have been through training programs with me before, I don't believe fear is real. I think fear is something that we make up. You're afraid of doing it wrong. You're afraid of failing. You're afraid of rejection. You're afraid of getting outside your comfort zone. Well, make today the day that says, hey, fear isn't real. I make it up. I'm going to get outside my comfort zone and I'm going to do it. There's nothing that some of these top producing agents do that you can't do. It's not brain surgery, it's not rocket science. You can learn everything through our training program on YouTube. You just got to get out there and do it. And anything worth doing is okay doing poorly at first. The first time you call a FISBO, it's not going to go great. Your first listing appointment isn't going to be as good as your millionth one. Your first buyer showing isn't going to be good as your 100th one. It's okay. Get outside your comfort zone, go do it. And I can tell you, I see fear all the time, and I see proof that it's not real. And some of you have heard my dog story before. I have three huge dogs, a Great Dane and two boxers. They have an invisible fence, and Heather loves to shop. I don't know if you guys know that or not. She loves to shop, and she shops on Amazon, which I'm like, okay, pretty decent pricing. And packages come almost every day. I don't know if we're the only home that gets packages every day, but it seems like we do. So when this Amazon driver comes to our home and they see these three huge dogs, over 300 pounds of dogs coming into the yard, running at them as fast as they can, and they have an invisible fence, do you know what that driver does? He pets them on the head and go puts the package down because he's done it over and over and over again. Now, in that same situation, when our driver's on vacation or there's a new driver, they stumble and fall. Our Ring doorbells caught them throwing packages at our dogs. Same exact situation, and they're scared to death. They're afraid. The fear, they've made it up in their mind in that same exact situation. Now, they have no idea these big dogs just want to go lick them. And it's the same thing for you guys. You're afraid of something. What is it? You got to be disciplined. Don't be afraid to time block. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to take rejection. Don't be afraid to get out there and build your business. So think to yourself, what's preventing you right now from making the life you want in real estate? And let's change it. Let's make 2024 efficient. Let's make more time. When you have that more time, I want you to be happier. I want you to figure out some things to do for yourself, some rewards, and I want you guys to crush it. I think last year was a struggle, right? No excuses because millions of dollars of homes sold, but interest rates were higher. There was less inventory. There's more inventory this year. Rates have already come down, and they say they're going to come down even more. Let's crush it. Let's make 2024 your best year in real estate.